Hey guys, it's Jerby, your certified aromatherapist, graduate of New York Institute of Aromatic Studies, and for today it's just gonna be me. So I'll be sharing with you my personal experience about someone who's had PCOS or PCOS, and I'll share with you how I was able to manage it and successfully brought my levels back to normal. Hopefully you can learn a thing or two about this episode. So what is PCOS or PCOS? PCOS is basically polycystic ovary syndrome, and it's an imbalance of hormones. It basically affects the ovaries, the organs where women store their eggs. When you're someone who has PCOS, basically your androgens are at an elevated level. What are androgens? In school, we have learned that androgens is basically one of the male hormones, but also us females would have that. And if you're someone who has PCOS, your androgen levels are higher than normal women. And this has implications like your ovaries may be too small and it may contain insignificant cysts. That's why you're called polycystic. And then you may also have missed periods or irregular periods or very light periods, or in my case, I'm an overbleeder. Having higher androgen level would also affect your hair growth. So you have an increased bodily hair and it affects your weight. So it makes you gain weight because it affects your metabolism. And girls with PCOS would normally have oily, prone skin, just like a man's. And this is also a cause for infertility. So all of these things are the normal characteristics of a girl with PCOS, which fortunately I don't have. So the OB or the doctor was able to rule me as someone who has a very mild case of PCOS. In fact, she doesn't call me as someone who has PCOS. She says that I have polycystic ovaries. I don't really have the syndrome or the physical manifestations yet because it's not that severe, which makes me lucky because people with PCOS will most likely develop certain serious health problems like type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, and problems with the heart and blood vessels, abnormal cholesterol level, and sometimes even uterine cancer. And did you know that 1 out of 3 women actually has PCOS? So 30% is actually a high rate, but people don't really know it. Girls don't really know about it. And it's just that in the last few years that a lot of these PCOS awareness campaigns have been rolled out. That's why more girls are aware that they are someone who has PCOS. And so I was able to meet a lot of amazing women through essential oils because I've been openly speaking about my PCOS and how my oils has managed it since I started oiling. If you try to check my YouTube channel, just search for Couch Wasabi. You will see a lot of my videos. I may have mentioned about PCOS, I may have mentioned about progesins. So I was first diagnosed of having PCOS in 2010. I decided to visit my OB with my female reproductive issue. And we did some tests, and there she found out I had PCOS, or my cysts, ovarian cysts, are more than the normal levels. So at that time, we were allowed to take pap smear at any time of the month. So later on, like years after, there are specific times of the month when you can have your test. So I think they've studied it more at this time. Like in my recent test, it was very strict. Like X number of days after your first day of having your period was the best time to have your test. But in 2010, in my early years of having it done, I can just step in the clinic or laboratory and have myself tested. So which is good in my opinion because I guess they have formed a better structure in, I guess, putting everyone in a specific period of the month so that there's a good benchmark of the number of cysts or ovules that they'd have to see in your ovaries, right? So anyway, so how is PCOS treated? Normally, if it's mild like mine, the doctor will just recommend for you to take BCPs or birth control pills to help balance your hormones and reduce or eliminate the symptoms. So this reduces also the risk for endometrial cancer later in life. If you have a more severe case of PCOS, then insulin sensitizing medicines may be given to you, or metformin if it's severe, or even anti-androgens. So with my case, I was just under the BCP level. For sure, some of you who are listening, and if you have PCOS, you're familiar of metformin. I've met a lot of girls, and I have a lot of girls under me in Young Living who was prescribed by metformin, and they really didn't want to take it because metformin is actually a strong medicine for people with diabetes. And it's kind of alarming for a girl to be advised to take it because of PCOS. So I really understand why they are trying their best to find a more natural way of managing it. So in 2010, I was diagnosed to have PCOS, and at that time, and I think even up to now, your doctor wouldn't do anything but to give you or prescribe you BCPs or birth control pills. And so I was prescribed with BCPs, and I've been taking it for the past, well, I've stopped already since 2018, I think. So I've been taking BCPs since 2010 until I came across this study that says taking BCPs for a long period of time, for example 8 years consecutively, is actually very, very harmful for your liver. It actually, I guess, affects some cysts or growth in your liver as well. So it scared me. At that time, I remember I was already dabbling into essential oils. I was really into holistic health. So I guess that was about 2017 or 2018 when I found out about that article, and it really honestly scared me, which prompted me to decide to stop taking BCPs and look for alternative ways to manage my PCOS. But I remember the first time or the first few years that I was diagnosed with PCOS, I knew one of the first things that I did was to stay away from soy products like a plague. So I used to love having taho in the morning. Taho is one of my favorite Filipino snacks. I had to stop it even if it's my favorite because it's, in fact, a soy product. So I stayed away from soy sauce, soybeans, tofu, anything, bean curd, anything that has soy milk. I stayed away from it since 2010. And I felt that it helped me because they say soy products affect your estrogen, or it's an estrogenic product, right? So it somehow messes with your estrogen production or increases it or something. That's why I decided to stay away from it. And I don't know, I guess it has helped me. And perhaps you can, try that too. There's nothing to lose if we try to do it for a period of time and see how it affects your levels, right? So that's what I did since 2010. Going back to my story, at about 2018 or 2017, I found out that BCPs can actually affect tumor growth in your liver, and I don't want that. I don't want to be having to be opened up to remove cysts, not in my ovaries, but now in my liver because of BCP. So I stopped taking BCPs altogether, and I tried to look for natural ways to manage my PCOS. Luckily, my PCOS is not as severe as most other girls. In fact, when you look at me, I don't have physical manifestations of someone having PCOS. Even my OB was kind of puzzled to find my results, bearing that in papers it would show that I have PCOS, but physically I don't have any of that manifestations. What are the physical manifestations of having PCOS? Number 1, weight gain. Number 2, increase bodily hair. One of my sisters also has PCOS, and she has really thick body hair, sort of like a man's. So I don't have that. I've always had like fine hair on my legs, on my arms, no hair at all. And I've always had a very lean physique ever since I was young. So I don't really have any of those normal physical manifestations of someone having PCOS, and therefore I guess I'm in the moderate spectrum of things, which is cool because I guess it was easier for me to manage it, or it was easier for me to bring my levels back to the normal range because of that. So I guess depending on to the degree of your PCOS, perhaps you can ask your OB/GYN on the steps that you can take or the things that you can do. But with me, the first thing I did was to get rid of all soy products in my life. Even when I tried immersing into vegan lifestyle, I still didn't give soy a chance. So instead of taking soy milk, I went for oat milk, and I think that's better. Okay, so in 2017, I discovered Young Living, and I really wanted to try the oil Progescence. And I've been using Progescence since 2017, since I stopped taking BCPs. So I've been applying Progescence in my inner thighs diligently, morning and night. And I feel that it has also supported my female wellness. And since you have to take EO breaks or you have to switch it up, I've also concocted my very own Happy Oiler Moonchild blend. So my Moonchild blend, when you check my Shopee, I'll also link it in the description of this podcast so you can check it out. So the Moonchild blend actually has key essential oils that help support female hormones. So that's clary sage, it has geranium, it has ilang ilang. All of those amazing essential oils actually help support your female wellness or bring you back to your balance. And I've been using both of those with me for the past 3 years actually. So first year I started using Progescence, and I felt that it was okay because you can see by the way when you have PCOS, sometimes I guess the only physical manifestation that I can get is I get hormonal acne every month. But then again, I'm sure every girl undergoing puberty would have that, but I'm way past my puberty and I'd still have that. So I guess the only evident way that the OB/GYN or my doctor was able to confirm that I do have PCOS is that she categorized me as an overbleeder, because I told her growing up, I've always had my period for 10 full days. As in 10 days. Nothing short to that. And my doctor said that's way too much. And so she categorized me as someone who is an overbleeder, because the normal number of days in having your period should fall between 5 to 7 days. But I know some girls get it only in 3 days. So that's a red flag as well if you are under the 5 to 7 days. And anything beyond that, like me, 10 days, is also a red flag. And I never really knew about that. I thought that, having my period for 10 days is just one of those numbers that, this is just how my body goes. I mean, we were never taught that there's a normal and abnormal number of days in bleeding, right? So I thought I was pretty normal. I felt pretty normal. I mean, nothing was really strange about my body. Nothing was really strange about my appetite. I eat voraciously, guys. And I was very active. I pretty led a normal active life. And so I never really thought that I would be someone who would have PCOS until much later in life when I was like a really grown adult. So there I was. I stepped out of that clinic and I was like, wow, I have PCOS. It's something that I have never really heard about. Not a lot of people really talk about it at that time, 2010. And so I started researching about it, and I've met a lot of girls who has the same situation like me. In fact, most of my members here on Young Living are girls who has PCOS, because I guide them in how to manage their condition like mine. But of course, I always urge them to check their levels yearly, like the way I do. I actually have my tests every other year, because I used to have it every year, but I realized nothing's really changing every year. So, and it's expensive. So I decided to have my tests done every other year, and that's what I follow even up to now. And luckily, this year when I had my test, I am cleared of having PCOS. So my range falls in the normal spectrum of things, which made me really happy. So I started bringing back soy products. I started taking taho from time to time, but not really like every day. And it's just, it's just something to, you'd miss it, right? When you've taken it out of your life for a long period of time. I'm sure it's like a form of reward as soon as I realized that, yes, I'm back to normal. I was successful in managing my PCOS. So even if I have my results as someone who is now in the normal range, I still use my Moonchild blend. My Progesins has taken a back seat simply because Progesins has more of the oils that I'm not really familiar what's in it, right? Because it's made by someone else. I've put my trust on something that I've personally concocted. So that's why I've been using my Moonchild blend more over Progesins, because you see your oils as medicine. You look at them as an antibiotic. So for me, it's better for me to stick with the things that I've personally blended. At least I know the things that I'm putting on my body versus using, it's still a commercially available brand, right? Young Living is still a commercially available brand. So I just decided to use the things that I've been blending on myself more over the things that I can buy. Also, there is a good economic, benefit from it because, of course, I concoct my own. I feel that it's safer and I know what exactly goes in my body. And, of course, it's a lot cheaper versus when I buy Progesins. But I still have my half-finished Progesins bottle. I still use it from time to time, perhaps 3 times a week, sometimes once a week, but I really use my Moonchild more. And apart from that, I also tried using Sage. It's a Canadian brand. It's Sage Transition Blend. I'll try to post it in my Instagram to share it with you, but it's just something that I asked my mom to get for me when she was in Canada a few years back. So I've been using all those 3 oils. All of those oils are all categorized as female wellness blend or female balance blend. And the key ingredient there actually is clary sage. So when you check all these 3 blends, clary sage has been known to help the female reproductive system. It stimulates the uterus. It helps actually with your menstrual cramps. It helps with regulating your period. And there are a lot of benefits in using clary sage. Also, with people undergoing menopause, you can also use clary sage to help balance you out and tone down your hot flashes. Clary sage is one of those oils up there that's really, really good for female wellness. And like I've said earlier, my Moonchild blend also has geranium. So geranium helps balances your hormones. It detoxifies the lymphatic system and alleviates anxiety and depression. So overall, just feel good about yourself. And then other oils that you can use, of course, lavender, because it's generally known to reduce stress and promotes relaxation. And there are also studies that lavender helps promote fertility because it also affects your estrogen function. Fennel is an anti-inflammatory. It balances your hormones and helps prevent PMS. So, your crampings shouldn't be that bothersome when you have fennel. And cypress is one of the oils that may help you if you have PCOS. Cypress is something that would help with your blood circulation. So, if there's something that's blocking your uterus and stuff, it could also help that. And also cypress aids with fertility. So all these oils, geranium, lavender, clary sage, fennel, cypress, these oils, you can perhaps do your homemade blend and just make sure you stay with the normal dilution rate. Your dilution rate, if you're planning to use it acutely, can go up to 5%. That's totally fine. But if you plan to use it every day, just stick with 0.5%. Alright? So you do that. You can apply it in your lower abdomen. You can apply it on your VitaFlex points pertaining to the female reproductive organ. Or, like what I do, I put it in my inner thigh because I think that's like the safest way. It's the safest spot that it won't interfere with my clothing. I won't smell so much of it. So that's why I put it in my inner thigh. And I guess it's been very successful. So if you're interested to know what's inside my Moonchild blend, I basically mixed ilang-ilang, clary sage, lavender, geranium, frankincense, bergamot, patchouli, sweet orange. So I decided to make a blend using these oils because geranium, clary sage, lavender, and ilang-ilang are really known to support the female wellness system. And I put in some of the other oils because I know they would blend well with the oils that I mentioned, like sweet orange and bergamot, which I know would smell amazingly to the florals that I mentioned earlier. So they add a nice, vibrant tinge to the blend. And then I also put in some patchouli because patchouli is a really good grounding oil to bring you back to your balance. And finally, frankincense is something that everyone could benefit from. So there's that. If you want to try it out, I will give an exclusive 10% off for this episode to anyone who orders Moonchild through the link that I will put below. So you just put in the promo code on Shopee. You can buy it off from Shopee. And stay tuned until the end of this episode. I'll be announcing a giveaway. So you guys can also enjoy and get a chance to win my Caticorn Dreams Mala Diffuser Bracelet. So they go well together, in fact. And, you can use the Mala Bracelet with any of your favorite essential oils. It's a really nice accent. And I guess it's a really nice present to yourself. So let me just quickly share with you what I have with my Mala Diffuser Bracelet. Basically, I have 2 stones. And that's Emperor Jasper, which is a stone for stability and finding one's inner peace, clarity, love, and compassion. Those are the things that I really need right now. It is said to be a powerful protection against things that are not good for you, and it eases emotional stresses, making it a wonderful gemstone to wear on yourself. And next, I also have Atlantis Stone. Atlantis Stone is actually a rare and highly collectible stone because it's only gathered from the shores of Madagascar. So it invites you to open up yourself to its soothing energies and to breathe in its essence, to acknowledge its gentle power, and to cast your burdens aside. So it will give you peace and allow yourself to let go and attune yourself to being physically and spiritually present. And this stone embodies happiness, joy, and all the good things in life. So I feel that I really need supplements in those 2 areas of my life, like having peace of mind and finding joy in little things. So I actually I was attracted to these 2 stones, and so I picked them. And surprisingly, the healing properties that they have, or the metaphysical properties that they have, is actually perfect with mine. So it's just amazing. Anyway, so if you guys want to have your own Caticorn Dreams Mala Diffuser Bracelet, actually I'm giving away 1 diffuser bracelet up for grabs, exclusively for this episode here on Live Well with aromatherapist Jerbico. And for the Mala Diffuser bracelet that I'm giving away for today's episode would have the stones, Atlantis Stone, because I really want to share the benefits of this stone, pink aventurine, and opalite. So I'll share with you the meanings or the healing properties of these stones. So Atlantis Stone is a stone of renewal and strength, and it is said to help reveal our feelings, showing us the underlying cause of tension or sadness so that we can deal with them and feel a sense of peace. And then pink aventurine is a stone to bring positive energy to your life and can help cleanse your mind of negativity. This stone is quite beneficial for people who experience very volatile and aggressive emotions, as pink aventurine can help you become more emotionally stable. And it also has opalite, which is believed to alleviate depression and soothe frayed nerves and help us to step away from anxiety. It is said to bring inner peace and a sense of calm in any situation. So I hope that this specific Mala bracelet that I've created specifically for today's giveaway would help you. And I hope you get excited in winning it. So I'll share the mechanics in a bit, maybe a little later. But for now, let's just go back to how I managed my PCOS, alright? So managing PCOS for me, I think there's not a cookie cutter method in managing PCOS. I think a lot of elements actually affect it. It's like, it's not just your hormones, it's also your stress level. And then it affects your metabolism. And then it affects your emotional well-being. And perhaps, depending on the severity of your PCOS, it affects your self-confidence, the way you see yourself. It has a lot of implications because of that simple cause, which is PCOS. So with me, luckily, mine wasn't that severe. It was just, I guess, a little above the range. So it was very easy for me to manage it. Although it took a while. It took, 7 years or 10 years for me to manage it. But it's totally fine. I have some friends who was able to manage it successfully in as short as 3 to 4 years. The good thing about PCOS is that it's not really alarming because nobody has died because of it. But it has a lot of emotional baggages because girls with PCOS would have a harder time conceiving, and so it affects your marriage life. And girls with PCOS would look in a certain way, and so it will affect their mental health. Luckily for me, I turned out to be okay. I turned out fine. I don't have the normal physical manifestations of a girl who has PCOS. But of course, I was really worried if it would give me problems in conceiving someday or something like that. Yeah, so in my opinion, aside from using essential oils, I really, I guess, took that time to make sure that I always choose the healthier way of things. I used to drink a lot. I've tried to stay away from it. I've lessened it a whole lot, like when I was younger. And recently, I have been really, really into yoga and Pilates and making sure that my muscles are moving, especially that, everybody's just in lockdown, everybody's just at home, and a lot of us are living a more sedentary life. So I've been involved in a lot of these community yogas, and what's great about it is that they're actually all free. I was really surprised to discover a lot of organizations or groups that would host free yoga sessions, and that's just something that we can all take advantage of. There's not an excuse for us to be unfit, because a lot of groups like Yoga Plus has their own sponsored free yoga sessions. I Go Beyond Yoga has their own free yoga sessions, and other groups would have their own initiated free yoga sessions, and you can just join any of those. Get your mat and join any of those, and it's free. Oh, and in line with that, Caticorn Pets, my own brand, is also involved in supporting a fundraising yoga session for Cara Welfare Philippines. So if you guys are free on October 31st at 10 a.m., I would like to invite you to join us in this activity. It's called Miauga, or Yoga for a Cause, and we're raising funds for the medical bills of the BGC community cats. So just follow Cara Welfare Philippines or check out Caticorn Pets for more details. But this is just a simple way that you can de-stress and also give back to the community. If you are a cat lover, this is the best way to spend your lockdown days at home and quit, and put a halt to your sedentary life. It's what I did with mine. I've been very, very involved with a lot of community yogas, and when this opportunity presented itself, I was just so excited to be a part of it. So now we are a partner of Cara in this event. I hope you guys would support us as well. I'll also link it in the description of this podcast so you can check it out. And we'll see you on the 31st. Alright? Alright, so let's talk about the giveaway. So for today's giveaway, it's just going to be simple. You just have to follow me on my Spotify, or be a follower or be a subscriber of my YouTube channel. So just take a screenshot that you are following me on YouTube or you are following me on Spotify. Take a screenshot of that and post it on your Instagram stories and tag me at HappyOilerPH and my public Instagram account at Trillian85. So the screenshot will be about you following me on Spotify or being a subscriber on my YouTube channel. And tag both my accounts. So post that on your IG stories and I will pick a winner in a week's time. To win, the Mala Diffuser bracelet bearing the Young Living logo as the hardware, plus the stones, opalite, pink aventurine, and Atlantis stone. So I hope you guys are excited to win that. And I'm so excited to see it on you. Okay. As I was saying, there's not a cookie cutter method. There are actually a lot of steps that I took. Apart from getting rid of soy products, trying to make sure that I cut down my alcohol intake, I also made sure that I sleep at least 8 hours a day, to be honest. And right now, at this point in my life, I'm actually sleeping at 10:30 p.m. or 10 o'clock. And lately, I've been sleeping at 8:30. It's like lola na talaga. But, I really try to make it to a point that I track my sleep, as everything is actually interconnected with your reproductive health. So once I get that into place, and I always like to take the healthier side of things. So as much as I can, if I can attend yoga, I will. As much as I can, I would try to take the natural way of things instead of taking synthetics, or I did a lot of these, I guess, a 360 way of detoxing, of purging, not just physically, even in our home. As you may know, a lot of these cleaning products would have all those endocrine disruptors, so those will also affect your metabolism, your reproductive health, and everything just goes hand in hand. And when you try to do that, perhaps, it will help your PCOS, as it did with mine. So with me, I started effectively managing it, I think, in 2018. I have switched a lot of our household things into a lot of a more natural and green products. I'm also a fan of clean beauty, so even with my cosmetics, I make sure to be meticulous about it. So anything I put on my skin, anything I use in our homes, and even anything that I use with my cats is highly scrutinized. The ingredients list are really checked before they end up in the grocery counter. But the good thing about this is that, at this day and age, a lot of these brands, clean beauty brands and eco-living companies, are actually sprouting here and there. So there are a lot of options for us conscious consumers. And then there are also a lot of awareness being invested about PCOS and a lot of these female reproductive issues like endometriosis, like what Priscilla Tong of Lily Sage mentioned in the past episode. She has endometriosis and I have PCOS, and a lot of these awareness campaigns are being done worldwide. And so girls, women, moms are really very abreast with a lot of these conditions that for sure has not been heard by our moms or by our grandmoms during their time. So apart from using Young Living Splodge Essence and diligently applying these essential oils as replacements for my BCPs, I also made sure that I make time for myself and I make sure that my emotional well-being is well taken care of. So I've dabbled into diving because I felt that, seawater and being out there in the sea helps support our health. instead of just being caged in the concrete jungle, as they say in the city. And I have also tried taking a lot of natural tea, because tea really helps detoxify your body. And tea leaves, that's a greener beverage instead of consuming artificial or commercialized fruit juices, and especially soda. So luckily I don't really like drinking soda, but if you are, perhaps you can cut down on your sugar, because sugar, or your insulin level, is also affected by PCOS. There are a lot of implications for having PCOS. So as much as possible, you stay away from sweets. They say you should stay away from coffee as well. And then you try to regulate your sleep. And I think those are the things that and stay away from soy-based products. So I think those are the top things that I saw. That's why I stayed away from donuts. I used to love donuts, but I stayed away from it. I used to love taho, but I stayed away from it. And I think all of these little sacrifices really paid off, because at least now I'm in my normal range, or at least during my last checkup. And I've also noticed a difference between my first few years of having the test done versus the last one, because the first few years were like, I can just go in anytime in the clinic. But now they really tell you like, oh no, you have to come here between this day to this day after your first day of period, or else you can't. You have to take it next month. So they're setting like good guidelines or benchmarks on the days that you have to come in for a test, so that they have a more, I guess, accurate way of determining if you really are someone who has PCOS or not. And with that, I was just happy that I'm already in the normal level. But it doesn't mean that I'd have to like go back in my old ways of consuming a lot of sweets. I'm still very watchful of my diet. I'm still very invested in trying to get myself moving, like staying away from having a sedentary life, although it's so much tempting to just lie down and watch Netflix, especially at this time where you're really scared to go out because it's more dangerous outside. But I'm just glad that there are a lot of these organizations who would initiate a lot of these free activities for everyone. It's basically open to all. You don't even have to do anything. You just message them, or even sometimes just watch their Facebook Live, and there, instant classes. Or you can even use your YouTube channel. Just search for some free yoga sessions on YouTube. I'm sure you can find some. Yeah, so I guess I just took all those steps to make sure that I am living my healthiest self, and I stayed away from a lot of junk food. When I was younger, I can finish one whole half gallon of ice cream in one sitting. It's that bad. But now I haven't really done that for a long time, and I don't intend to start now because I'm much older, so I know that my metabolism is not as amazing. Even the rice that I'm consuming is so toned down. I still eat rice. I don't think I'm the type who can do away with rice, because I love rice so much. I honestly love eating so much. I try to have a vegan lifestyle, and I'm happy when I get to do that switch, but it's something that I'm not yet that consistent with. But what's important is you have that intention to make yourself better, or you have that intention to be a better version of yourself and take small steps towards it. I think that's what's important. I think it's impossible for you to wake up the next day and suddenly you say, oh, I want to be vegan today, and just suddenly stop eating all the seafood that you used to love, or stop switching your milk to Oatly or something. I mean, sure, if you can do that, but it's not for everyone. And if you do that so suddenly, that is when relapse would happen. And so I think it's better if you take things slow, one step at a time, then it's more sustainable. And I think that's what's happened to me. That's what I did. I guess I removed a lot of these unhealthy practices one layer at a time. And so now I don't really miss a lot of it. Like, I'm fine if I don't eat ice cream for a long time. I think I haven't eaten ice cream for 2 months now. And I'm fine if I haven't, consumed alcohol. It's not really a big deal for me because it's something that I have consciously accepted and something that I've consciously done in order to live a healthier life. And I guess that's my tip for you. If you're someone who has PCOS and you're struggling with your weight, maybe don't put focus on your weight. Focus on your health. I used to have, in high school, my waistline is about 29. I just don't look big because my limbs are really slender. But now my waist is a lot smaller and I feel I'm a lot slender. But it's because I've been taking a lot of yoga and Pilates in the past few weeks, and before that I used to go diving, and I do a lot of these physical activities to keep myself healthy. So if you can join community runs or just to keep yourself moving, I think that's healthy. But I think right now the safest thing for you or I to do is, I guess, to join all these community yogas, because at least we get to stay at home, we still get to move our muscles and still be safe. So I hope you've enjoyed today's episode here on my podcast. To receive updates or new episode alerts, don't forget to follow us here on Spotify. Or to get more updates from me, don't forget to follow me on Instagram at HappyOilerPH. And I'll see you on my next Live Well with Aromatherapist, Jerby Go.